never expected betrayal to sound so casual. It didn't come with shouting, or slamming doors, or tearful confessions. It came through laughter, soft, careless laughter drifting from the kitchen, where my wife, Emily, stood with her phone pressed to her ear. It was late, around midnight. I had just come home from a week-long business trip, exhausted but eager to surprise her. I didn't announce my arrival. I wanted to see that familiar smile when she turned and saw me standing there. Instead, I got something else, something I can't unhear. From the hallway, I heard her say, "He still doesn't suspect a thing. Honestly, sometimes I think he's too kind for his own good." Her tone wasn't hateful, it was amused, playful even. I froze, 1 foot still on the last stair. For a second, I told myself she was talking about something else, maybe a prank or a misunderstanding. But then I heard it again. I told him the late nights were because of the new project, and he just believed me. Can you imagine? God, if he knew where I really was. The sound that came out of her mouth wasn't the voice of the woman I married. It was someone else, someone colder. I stepped closer, my heart thudding in my chest. My suitcase handle brushed the wall, just loud enough for her to hear. She spun around, eyes wide, phone still in hand. For a brief second, everything stopped. "Daniel," she said, her voice cracking on my name. "You're home early." I didn't speak. I just looked at her, the woman who used to wait up for me, who used to send texts saying she couldn't sleep without me beside her. Now she looked like a stranger caught stealing something precious. Her phone buzzed in her hand. She quickly flipped it over on the counter, but I caught a glimpse of the name, Mark. I didn't need to ask who he was. I'd heard enough in that short moment to piece together the truth. The silence that followed was the loudest sound I've ever known. She tried to smile, to say something normal, but her lips trembled. "It's not what it sounds like," she whispered. "But that's the thing about lies. They always sound like something else until you see them naked." And now I did. I put my suitcase down gently, almost carefully. My voice came out quiet, steady, too calm to feel real. "You don't have to explain," I said. She took a step toward me. "Daniel, please, it's not." "Don't," I said. One word, sharp enough to stop her mid-step. For years, I had pictured what betrayal might look like, dramatic, fiery, maybe even cinematic. But this was ordinary. Just a phone, a voice, a half-truth that became a knife. I turned away, heading toward the front door. Behind me, I could hear her crying, the kind of cry that used to tear me apart. But now it felt like a soundtrack to something that had already ended long before tonight. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I didn't ask why. I simply left, because sometimes the quietest exits echo the loudest. Outside, the night air felt heavy and sharp. My breath came out in clouds, and the streetlights painted the road gold. Every step I took away from that house felt like peeling off a layer of skin. Painful, raw, but necessary. I didn't go to a hotel. I drove aimlessly, my phone lighting up every few minutes with her name. I didn't answer, not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much once, and it had broken me. When I finally pulled over by the lake, the reflection of the city lights rippled across the water. I sat there, staring, trying to understand how love so deep could dissolve so quietly. In that stillness, one thought repeated in my mind like a haunting whisper. She didn't just betray me. She made a fool of my kindness. And that realization hurt more than any affair ever could. I must have sat by that lake for hours. The world felt paused. Traffic humming in the distance, waves brushing the rocks, the faint taste of rain in the air. My phone kept lighting up, each notification another reminder of what I'd left behind. After the 15th missed call, the screen went dark, and for the first time in years, there was silence between us. When dawn broke, I drove to my brother Evan's place on the outskirts of town. He opened the door half awake, but one look at my face and he didn't ask questions. He just said, "Coffee's in the kitchen." And that was enough. For the next 2 days, I existed in fragments. Answering emails I couldn't focus on, staring at walls, replaying her words like a loop I couldn't switch off. He still doesn't suspect a thing. It wasn't just what she said. It was how she said it. Like my trust was something amusing, disposable. On the third morning, she showed up. I heard the knock before Evan did. He glanced at me, then at the door. "You want me to? I'll handle it," I said. Emily stood there, eyes swollen, hair tied back like she hadn't slept. She tried to step inside, but I stayed in the doorway. "Daniel, please. We need to talk." Her voice cracked the way it used to when she was nervous before big presentations. That same vulnerability that once made me protective. Now it only made me tired. "Talk," I said. She took a breath. "I messed up. It wasn't serious. It was stupid. It was casual," I finished for her. "Because that's how it sounded." She blinked fast, tears building again. "I was lonely. You were gone all the time, and Mark was just someone who listened. It never meant anything." I laughed. A short, hollow sound that didn't feel like mine. "Funny. That's exactly what you stopped doing, listening." For a moment, neither of us spoke. She reached out, fingers trembling, but I stepped back. The movement said everything words couldn't. "I didn't come here to punish you," I said quietly. "I came to remember who I was before I kept forgiving people who didn't deserve it." She wiped her eyes. "So that's it? You're just walking away?" "I already did," I said. She broke down then, sobbing, pleading, promising therapy, second chances, anything. But her words felt like confetti thrown after the parade had already passed. I closed the door gently, not out of anger but out of mercy, for both of us. Weeks turned into months. Papers were filed, numbers divided, signatures exchanged through lawyers. There was no big confrontation, no dramatic courtroom finale, just quiet endings typed on crisp white pages. I moved into a small apartment downtown. The first night there, I realized how loud peace can be when you've lived too long in tension. The refrigerator hummed, the city breathed, and for the first time, I slept through the night. People often say closure comes when you forgive. Maybe that's true for some, but for me, closure came the moment I stopped needing her to understand what she'd done. One evening, I ran into an old friend, Lauren, at a coffee shop. She asked, "How are you holding up?" I thought about lying, saying I was fine. But I wasn't fine, I was healing. So I told her the truth. Better than I thought I'd be. We talked for hours. Not about Emily, not about betrayal, just about life, work, music, the small things that make people human again. When we finally said goodbye, I realized something simple yet profound. The world hadn't ended. It had just shifted. On my drive home, the city lights blurred through the windshield. I remembered the night I overheard Emily laughing, the weight that crushed me then, and how light I felt now in comparison. Pain, it turns out, isn't permanent. It's a teacher that never forgets to leave homework. At a red light, my phone buzzed. A message from Emily. "I hope you're okay." For a moment, I considered replying. Then I deleted the draft before typing a word. Some conversations don't need to be reopened. Some silences say everything. The light turned green, and I kept driving. No bitterness, no regret, just motion. Because walking out that night wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of remembering my worth.